and without any sound at all. The people that saw that believe what they saw was an alien spacecraft.
Red alert!
Let's try this again. I'm Tom King. This is 4K Skywatching podcast. It's Friday night. It's March the 7th, 2025. I'm going to go through a list of a lot of Phoenix myths that are around there. I have the receipts. So we're going to go through a lot of stuff that's out there that people talk about that are big myths. I hear about them all the time. Should be some sound now. Let me just do a real quick check. And yeah. So it's raining here in Phoenix. It's a rare day where it rains. So we'll look at through the camera systems in a little bit. First time in a long time I got to see the thermal in rain. So I'm going to show you guys that because I got a system that, well, most people don't have. So through me, you guys get to use it all. So we're going to look at the thermal in a bit. And we're going to go into a bunch of different myths and whatnot that I got lined up. Now, I'm just a little channel. I'm sure it's going to continue after tonight's show. But you will learn something on this episode. This episode 15, I think. 14, something like that. It's going to rain next Thursday. In the forecast, it may not. I'm going to do a live cast anyway. So we have R0A3 here. He's in the house. And yeah, he's charging up a little bit. So we're going to go through some stuff together. Yeah, it's kind of fun doing this droid. I have some links up in the description of 3 different books that deal with the Phoenix Lights. And one of them is a website. This is a website of Mr. Steve Blonder. He's still with us. He was the guy who invited me over to his house on March 13th. He has a website called Oracle of the Phoenix. And he also has a book called Oracle of the Phoenix. And then, of course, there's Dr. Lynn Katai's book. And there's Bill Hamilton's book, The Phoenix Lights Mystery. I would, if you're kind of a Phoenix Lights nut, I would tell you this. Get your hands on that book. Get Bill's book. It's back on Amazon. It's not too expensive. But let me tell you something. I had an autographed, Bill's not with us anymore, passed away a few years back. But Bill wrote his book like just months, like 5 months after the event, before we had a grip on what the hell was exactly the case facts. So his book has some factual errors, but it has a lot of eyewitness reports in it. And I had a copy. I probably loaned it out, and I never got it back. And then I tried to get another copy, and I saw it on Amazon for $400 used. And I'm like, what the hell? And eventually I bought another copy, which, well, that's turned up missing again. But if you want to get a cheap copy that's reasonable, like $20, $30, it's on Amazon. The links are up in the description. So check that out if you're into that. So see who's out there before we run into everything. We got Tommy Tom. We got Truth Seeker who gets me in trouble. He started me down this rabbit hole. The mass, it's low PSI. You can pump it up with a bicycle tire. I have no doubt at all once I get that mast installed, it's going to work. I'm looking at an engine, a car engine mover, so we'll get into that later. So yeah, we have Andy here. Thanks for coming, Andy. Good to see you. Vertical Reality Check. I follow you on Twitter. You always got some interesting stuff to talk about. Twitter, hey, we got Dan here. Yeah, what's up, Dan? Dan shot some footage last week in the daytime. He's got some interesting stuff. You should look at his videos on TikTok. He could drop a link. How you can see he's got videos that are, we had him on the show about a month ago, but he's got some videos showing where he's in a helicopter flying and there's objects going through the goddamn mountains in the superstitions, just like they do in Skinwalker Ranch. So let's, besides the droid here, we have the radar system up and running. I got this plugged in. I don't have the radar done yet because that's going to be, I got to pour concrete and I got to put the antenna in. So that still is in, that's still coming. So yeah. Oh, I can see the little light here powers on randomly about every 3 or 4 minutes. Is that right? All right, cool. So, and then on the NVR, let's take a look at the thermal. So we're looking live right now at the thermal NVR. This system's up and running pretty good. So let's just give you guys a peek of what's going on here with the thermal. So this is one of our cameras. This one is set to automatically record the lowest temperature and the highest temperature. So when a plane flies by or a bird or any creature, if it's in between, let's say 55 degrees and 19 or so, it'll auto do that. The purpose of this is eventually when a UFO flies by, here's a bird, we're going to get the temperature of the UFO. So I'm starting data collection, slow but sure, of UFOs. And Dave Mason kind of started this stuff, and he's got them like minus 60 degrees, so they're pretty cold. So that was, that's hot black. I think this is white hot here in the center. And yeah, there's palm tree and some clouds. Now it was drizzling just a few minutes ago, and that really killed the visibility of the rain down to, I would say, because of the heat. It was getting colder, I guess. So can't see through rain. So if it comes down at cats and dogs, the visibility goes down. But it does see through clouds real good. Let's see. Yeah, there's one over there. That's another hot black. Let's look at the color one does pretty good. And then we have the Tute. This is the one with the windshield wiper on it. I was using that earlier. It was kind of funny. So yeah, we have dark skies in Phoenix. But I love it. I love it, man. You bring it on. It gives me some references to look at. You can do great time lapse with it. And the camera systems hold up pretty damn well. So that's a little peek there at that one. Now I'm going to switch over to another NVR. Reality check. The bot's name. Okay, so because you can see through it, it's designated an R3. So an R0 is what I had on here last time. R0 domes are the ones from The Force Awakens. R2 domes are like this, but they're not transparent. If you can see through them, they're an R3. The R4s I had that in the background last week. That's kind of a cone head looking type thing. And then an R5 is, well, R5D4. So if that answers your question. And then after the R designation, then you can just make up whatever the hell you want to stay within Canada. Hey, Cheeky Bouncer, how's it doing? So that's going there. We have the Cosmic Watch going. I have went through and adjusted a lot of the levels. So this should, if it goes off or when, it should not blow you out of the water and have your cats and dogs freak out. All right, so what we have here is the other NVR. And we are working on getting an NVR system and UFODAP hooked up in Scottsdale at, I think, at least one, maybe two locations, which will be cool because then we can, when we get this dialed in, I can dial up his NVR and we could start looking at trips around the valley. So down here at the bottom, I'm missing a camera. So the south camera got knocked out down here. That one's done. I went up on the roof like a fool, thinking the rain was done, and I looked at the connection, and there wasn't anything wrong with the connection. What happens is when it's one of these, every goddamn time it happens, it's the south camera. And here's one of them that went Boulder Dash. So that plug there, probably you're not going to be able to see it, but on the side it's black. It's blackened, right? Now what happens is the lane 1, I believe, is the power. So the power, the water goes in, it goes over to there, and it zaps. The electricity eventually goes down. Now it doesn't burn anything out, thank God. Sometimes you can clean these things with a Q-tip and rubbing alcohol if it's not real bad. Otherwise, you might have to snip off the female end and resurrect the goddamn thing. Yeah, hey, I forgot. It's Friday. I quit drinking at least 6 months ago, so I don't even know what that tastes like anymore. Yeah, I like beer, like Jack, but those days are behind me now. Shit. Now I think about it. I just took my pills and I realized I only had half of them. So I hope Walgreens kicks in, because if they don't, this hand, the skin will start falling off by the next broadcast. Don't want that to happen again. Okay, so astromech.com. So here, I'll put it in the chat. Don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go there, bro. You'll get it. I got addicted to that shit. It cost me, well, my buddy, a couple of them. Yeah, I got addicted. Some people are addicted to alcohol and cigarettes and vape. I got addicted to aluminum. When I got into the droid thing, everything was custom, like the skins, everything. I mean, this is an aluminum droid. Everything on there was like a part run. It was weird because it'd be like, hey, I can run this part. I can have this part on it, right? And turn him on. Like, let's say these arms. Let's say you wanted to run these arms. Okay, so you say these arms are $220, and if I can get 50 people, we're going to run these arms. And then you go to a machine shop and you give them like $40,000, and later you get arms, right? If the person didn't rip you off. Now in the droid, and that's how you got addicted to aluminum. It's not hard. So anyway, yeah, you get, I mean, I think I'm not addicted anymore, but I still love aluminum, because when the plate came in, the aluminum stuff I was like, ooh, aluminum. I love aluminum. Yeah, don't go to the droid place. You could fall down that rabbit hole. Don't do my rabbit holes. They're expensive. They're very expensive. All right, so astromech.net. Yeah, well, I cut completely. I had to. The pills I'm on, if I drink alcohol with them, my liver will fail. I'll be dead by the next podcast. We don't want that. So let's get into tonight's show. We're going to start busting some myths. We got at least 8 of them here. I'm going to go through Phoenix Lights myth. The first one, 10 p.m. event was a diversion. Now, I see that all the time. All the time, the 10 p.m. event was a diversion. And it makes sense. It does. I'm one of the people who filmed the 10 p.m. event. So I was there when Phoenix Lights unfolded, in case you never heard of me before. So I thought that too. It made sense for a while. And then we thought, no. I wouldn't have any video if it was a diversion. We were asked by Mr. Steve Blonder to come. Okay? So I'm living proof it's not a diversion. My video, I was invited. We went to dinner with Stephen Greer and asked him to come. We knew there was a UFO coming. Or something. We didn't know. We knew there were going to be some orange lights, let's say, that were going to be there to film. And I filmed them. And if Steve Blunder's battery didn't die out, he would have filmed it too. Bill Hamilton's battery died. He would have filmed it. So we would have had 3 videos just from that one location. Let's get into some of the evidence here. Let's look at, up in the description is, I think there's a link to this. This is the Oracle of Phoenix. This is Steve's website. And that's Steve Blonder. He's a very nice, conservative guy. He has a book there. There's his book. It's very deep. I mean, it's to tell you the truth, I don't know if Steve's watching. I could only understand like the first 25 pages. And yeah, he mentioned me in there, and he said I was kind of I can't remember. I was an outlaw or some shit like that, which probably, I don't know how they got that idea. So anyway, so he gets into his book. So, and you can look at it. He does a great rebuttal on the flares. So he gets into all the videos. He's got these PDFs on here that show you the triangulation. So if you ever wanted to go deep into the weeds of triangulation, go to this Oracle Phoenix website and click on these PDF files. This will show you all the 10 o'clock stuff. This will show you the work done by Dr. Bruce Maccabee. When he redone the triangulation a few times. So he's got great resources on here. He's got a forum on here too. There's not a lot of posts on here. Yeah, his stuff's about kind of like the Kabbalah, and he was doing like the Phoenix Lights, I think, with Geometry 2, of stuff out in the desert, and he's got his videos. So one thing to remember about Steve Blonder is, it was Dr. Stephen Greer. We were copying, now this is not a line out of American Psycho, but we were at Village Labs copying some videotapes. He needed to copy him. All that money, and he can't afford 2 VCRs. I don't get it. So he flew into Phoenix, which I guess is cheaper than buying another one. But we were copying videotapes. Anyway, so yeah, Steve invited us there. So he started filming these orange orbs on the 10th, March 10th, March 11th, March 12th, March 13th, when we were there. So on the 10th and 11th, he's like, I don't know what these lights are. He reached out on the internet. I don't even think Google was not around. So he must have used Lycos search engine, or Alta Vista. So there's some names you probably haven't heard in a while. And he found a place called UFO Roundup, or UFO Updates. And they asked for some researchers. They suggested Bill Hamilton was the leading guy. He was assistant state director of MUFON. And he said, Tom, I got this email from Steve Blonder. Get your gear. Let's go over to his house. He says there's orange orbs every night between 8 and 10 when he was filming. So I thought, cool. You don't get invitations like that often. Let's check it out. Oh, yeah. Hey, good to see you here. So, yeah, we went to his house. And well, first we went to Village Labs for a bit. Then we went to the Village Inn, and we had dinner with Stephen Greer. And then we, while we were in Village Inn, that damn boomerang actually went over us. And so regret that, but hey, that's life. At least I got something out of it. And then, yeah, we went and recorded that. So let me now cut to some of Steve Blonder's footage, which has been upscaled in, of course, 4K. All right, so we are looking at Steve's footage here. All right, so the audio's kind of tattered, so I'm going to lower that down a bit so it's not messed up. So one interesting thing, you don't see this anymore. When you went back in the day when we had tapes, you would investigate a tape because you would, did he record a UFO over the kids' their wedding video or the kids' birthday parties? Because if they did, then it's probably not a hoax. It's probably a real event. And he was recording over previous footage because he didn't have that many videos. So we're looking back at Steve's video. And before March 13th comes around, so this is not the main event that I filmed. This is before that. So Steve is there recording. I'm not sure exactly when this happened, but what I can tell you is there was about 5 of these. Let's say we're going to call them both things, flare drops or orange orb sightings. While the boomerang was heading into the Phoenix area in the north part of the state, these flares were being dropped, or these orbs. So we have an event at 8:45, 8:15, let's see, 8:30, or 9:15, 9:40, 9:50, I filmed one, and then the 10 p.m. event. So we have like 4 or 5 of these orange orb events before the main 9 of them came out. So that shows you that they didn't just go, a boomerang came, well, let's hit the button and drop these objects. So Steve was recording these before me. This is video before me and Bill Hamilton showed up at his house. And if you want to watch this, it's on Steve's YouTube page. And there's links to his YouTube page on my page, and you just go to Phoenix Light Research. It's probably like 3rd or 4th video. So he's got these orange objects here. And this video is 10 minutes long. So it takes some time, and it's time-stamped. And not all these are orange orbs. Some of these are airplanes. Some of these are looking around. And he recorded over some March 12th footage right there, too. So Steve was recording these objects before we got over there. So there are 3 or 4 of these events. It wasn't just they pushed the button. So you guys see, I mean, let me read some chat so I don't have a huge chat wall coming up. Rebroadcasting your stuff. Netflix. Remember, oh, good. Glad you found this place. This is this. You know, I don't beg people to hit the like or subscribe button. I usually even forget to say it. So if you like the stuff, if you don't like it, complain in the chat. Usually I have audio issues. So anyway, so let me get to the next one here. So the next one is mine, and I didn't just film the 10 p.m. event. No, I filmed something before that. Most people don't know that I handed the camera to my wife, Rhonda, and said, here, you film it.
Yeah. Oh, it's real orange. What the heck is that? It's laid.
Wait a minute. This thing's... Okay, I'm going to do an out of focus on it now. Show how it gets big. Jesus Christ, it's some kind of spear or something.
Get in bed now.
Holy Christ. You guys, it is a big ball.
I know.
So you can check out the TV right here. I guess not. No, I got to shoot it through this to get it right. It's the, Rhonda, it's the planet. It's the planet from Peoria. I've got this on tape already. Maybe the video's not getting it quite. You got it through that scope? Here, tape it. Tape it, because I'm setting up that scope, and we're going to find out exactly what this thing is. you'll see it through the scope in a minute. This thing, you can ID any plane in the
is it?
sky. It doesn't. There you go.
I can't even see it.
I'm setting up a telescope.
It looks like it's going down behind the mountain, doesn't it?
Yeah. I can't see it. I don't know what I'm looking through with this thing.
Just go to a wide angle there.
I don't know what all the
It's
things
going
on
down
this.
behind the top of the mountain.
You need to be
We
taping
might
this,
have-
Tom.
We might have to chase it.
Here. I can't get it, Tom.
See, it's going down. I can't see it now. You have to get up here. I can't see it.
Is it gone?
No, the tripod's got to be up higher.
Yes, you go right here. Go right
Stand
here,
on this
on
one.
this chair.
I just got to ID this. Oh, tell me. Be careful.
Come back here. Come back here, it's safer.
Tom, you don't want to fall.
It'll be worth it for this.
Oh, right. Oh, God. You don't do stuff that at people's house. I can't. I don't want to look at it.
Once it went behind the mountain last night, it never came back though. Remember that?
It's come back
Where's that mountain
the
at?
first couple nights.
It didn't go back
Not
behind
last
the
night,
mountain.
yeah.
Last night it went behind the mountain,
Yeah.
didn't come back.
See,
But it was up.
you can't do that. Only experimental military helicopters.
Okay, so it
Which
could
I've
be
heard of.
military. Did you see it on there?
Yeah, I
When
got
you
it on
did
tape.
the way
I
it
did
looks?
both. I did the. Yeah, I got a laser scope on here too.
Okay, so you...
See that red dot? Anything that red dot hits getting picked
Now,
up
you
on
probably
video.
would get a better view on Pecos Road or in school,
Then
without
Pecos Road.
You just go out 40th here, and 40th jumps into Pecos Road, and it just goes right along the Indian reservation.
Oh, okay.
So it's real open. You know, you don't have to deal
Okay,
with
if you can
houses.
look at this, I'll show you the effect on the moon. Okay, there's the moon right there. I'll zoom in on it. Okay. It's a little overexposed. I gotta adjust it. Okay. It's close, but see, watch when I go out of focus.
Yeah, you get the Batman.
Yeah, the Batman. See, it gets bigger. And
Now that's
if
the
your
moon?
autofocus is jumping, yeah.
Yeah, he's just showing that.
Oh, okay. I see.
My thing's a little.
Are there two of them? And they're like side by side?
Yeah, and there's one of them looks square shaped.
What?
Oh.
You never seen that. I know, but
Because he's doing it differently.
Wait a minute, what? Am I filming the house or the UFOs?
Can you find it?
Oh, that was the house, forget it.
It's not square.
Can you find it?
no, I'm
Let me see. I could put
Maybe you could zero it in on there.
Fireball.
Two of them side by side.
Yeah, it does look like why it's so yellow when if there's the two of them make it.
This is the location. This is Steve right here. He's the one who kind of got it. There's Rhonda, pool, puppy. Let's go back to the saucer.
I don't know if I'm tall enough.
You want to lower it?
I need a chair.
I got another spotting scope somewhere here if somebody wants to look at that too. There's two side by side. This is slightly different.
There's another one. Oh, look. One, two. There's another
Wait,
one.
where?
Chimney. There's another one, too.
Where?
Oh,
Look at that.
there's another one.
No, we're just excited. We're not.
They keep coming.
Wait, I see. Whoa, look at them.
I got that one on video.
There's just four of them. Look at there's three of them all together.
I got the third one popping in.
To your left. There's one behind the chimney.
One just flared up.
I got four of them. Major sighting here.
No, there's five.
Oh,
Another one just showed up.
They're multiplying.
whoa.
Maybe somebody's setting up lights.
Did you see that?
No, those are in the sky.
There's one underneath the house too.
There's one behind the chimney. We
Come
need to go to Pecos Road.
I can't see how this works. How does this work?
Holy
Oh, you got it too
shit.
high.
Have you seen that before?
No.
That's weird.
They're lined up in a pattern, man. There's geometry behind this.
I can't even get
The
this.
m-
I've never seen it. Look at that.
Man, this is
What is this?
Let's see. Oh, there's three of them all lined up.
No,
four,
there's
Bill.
one
Bill,
over
Bill,
here.
over here,
Come
there's
over here.
four.
Look.
Yeah, I see.
Over the top right now. I don't know, but I got it on tape.
They just appeared. They didn't even fly in.
Okay, I got them in the scope. What does it look like, Bill?
They just appeared. What do they look like in your camera?
They look like, for me.
Anything like?
So he has a few more minutes of that video. But that shows you that this wasn't a diversion because we knew this was going to happen. Terry Proctor, the guy who videotaped the boomerang, had been videotaping these flares on for 3 months since January. So we had Blonder. He caught onto these for about a week. Terry Proctor lived up in Carefree, so he's looking kind of down at the valley, and he would see these lights in the distance. And then we have Lincoln Dye, who is doing that too. Damn, Truth Seeker, thanks for that. That'll help with that rabbit hole. Deep. I'll have you guys next week probably update on that because I think I'm going to move the mask. So yeah, that's a good idea with Twitch. I've heard of it, but I haven't messed with it. So anyway, yeah, you know, Dr. Marin, I'm not really about subs. Don't give a shit that much. It's good. I'm about doing the UAP science. So I would rather sit in the corner and not be one of the big UFO dogs and just do my stuff and just, you know, people like you guys know what I'm doing. I'm not trying to get up there at the top or do the lecture circuit. I'm trying to accomplish something with all this gear. But yeah, good suggestion. Yeah, subscribers help. I mean, any monetary value does help. When my wife goes, Tom, have you seen the credit card bill? And it's like, well, give me a heart. It would give you guys a heart attack. I'll tell you that. Most of you would get divorced if you've seen incoming here. So that was the first one on the Phoenix Lights myths. Let's get to the next one. It's going to be a little bit more fun. To get that out. Fife Symington saw the boomerang. That's another one. I got to go cleaning up behind him all the time. Fife Symington. Now, this was the original guy, gaslighter. All right, this guy was the original guy who would lie to your face with so much ease. He was eventually convicted of 7 counts of felony bank fraud while governor. Because back then he was removed from office because Arizona. I was new to Arizona. I just got here in 95. So, and then I think that governor got kicked out too. This is a state that elects a governor and then tries to put them in jail for breaking the law. So we still had rule of law back in 97. Shit, you know, stuff mattered. If you broke the law, you paid for it, even up to the governor level. So yeah, he had to resign from that. This whole thing with him is just kind of mind-blowing. So this guy claims he saw the Phoenix Lights after he took a historical dump on the entire event. So Fife claims, and I think he first came out to James Fox and did an interview I think it was 2007. So after office, Fife became a chef. He started making cakes and things like that. Interesting. And then if you read his history, he tried. Well, he sort of tried to get back into politics later because it's interesting. Just because you have a felony, which later was appealed, but just because you have that on your record and then take back, you can get kicked out of the governor, but then you can run again for it if you get that pardoned, which he did. But there were so many opportunities that he had to come back into politics. He always turned them down. I mean, who the hell would say, here's a shoe-in to be the governor? Nope, dude, nope. I don't know. It's kind of weird. So anyway, he's the only guy who claims he saw on television the Phoenix Lights. And he got in his truck, his F-150, ditched his DPS patrol, and went out, waited at Squaw Peak Park for the UFO to fly over. That's not possible. for a couple of reasons. And I don't like to get into other people's "I told you what you saw" stuff, but he's the only one who says this. It wasn't broadcast on television until March 14th. So what, did he have a time machine? Second, they don't interrupt the local news or the prime time and say, excuse me, there's a UFO incoming. So let's take a little look at his version of what he thinks happened. So Fife is at home, and he's sitting there looking at television. And they're going to announce a UFO is coming. But the problem is how does he know this, right? Because back in the day, it's so cool that they don't even ask, when a UFO report comes out, they don't ask the weathermen to debunk it. So they're not going to interrupt Buffy, right? And also on was ER. So you had Buffy, you had ER, you had stuff like that. So he is gaslighting us to tell us that he's sitting at home and either they interrupted Buffy the Vampire Slayer and said, excuse me, good evening, Arizona. There is a UFO in Prescott, or Paulden. It's heading to Prescott. If you go outside your house, look towards the Hale-Bopp Comet, you will see an incoming alien object. Back to Buffy. They said nobody ever. That didn't happen. So he's telling us that he ditched the cops. It's not too good of a picture. There's a little bit better. And nobody knows where he lives. Arizona doesn't have a governor's mansion. We don't know where the hell his location is. He doesn't have archives that say where he lived. Because I'd like to know, how'd you get in your F-150 and drive to the park? How many miles is that in traffic, right? Because it's just, even the debunkers don't believe this. So then he's at Squaw Peak, not freaked out. Everyone I ever met who saw the 8:30 event, a lot of them will tell you the first thing they think about in the morning is their kids, then that boomerang, and when they go to bed, they think about that boomerang and then their kids. Not Fife. Nope. He had to do a goddamn alien stunt and ridicule it. So I don't believe him, because in order to get in your truck and let's say ditch the cops, or let's just say they drove him for the hell of it, it wasn't announced on TV until the next day, and you would need time to drive there, right? So that means the television would have had to interrupt live show as soon as it hit Paulden. And they don't have that. There was a report of a pilot and a student that had a near miss. They reported it, and that got forwarded to Luke Air Force Base. Maybe that got forwarded to DPS. I don't know. But how often does Fife get in his truck and go looking for UFOs, right? Like, never. Holy shit. Thank you, Dr. Marin. I appreciate that super chat. If you look back on some of the other episodes, you would see how deep I'm in at this bullshit. No, thank you. Yeah, my work saw that, by the way. They're probably thinking, a Ferrari, really? We're paying him too much? You can buy a Ferrari? Shouldn't have. But hey, do you want your IT people driving a Gremlin? Yeah. So Symington, and okay, so that's what he did. Now, let me tell you what. So here's what I think, Andy. And you're around my age too. We're both about the same age. And you probably agree with this. Throughout your 30s and 40s, you give a shit about your reputation and all that. But when you turn 50, you start going, you know what? I have more years behind me than in front of me. What did this sack of meat amount to? Did I do good, or am I going to be remembered badly? And he's going to be remembered real bad because of the rubber alien mask. So in order to spin that and to change his legacy, he comes out and goes, me too. I saw it. Well, no, you don't get to wait 10 years and then come out, because it came out in 2007. That's bullshit. The damage was done. But no one calls him on it, right? We have a press corps that was called out by Ross Coulthart today because the FA drones the federal government makes no sense, and the reporters don't call them out. We still have that level of reporting in 2025. We had Boulder Dash reporting in 1997. They didn't call them out. Or when James Fox didn't call them out, right? I don't think he knew enough about the case to call them out. People have to know the extreme level of details I've drilled down to and lived through to know that it wasn't on television for the next day. So that's one red flag. It's impossible. The second one was ditching the cops, really. And then the third one is he shit all over the sighting. So I think he made it up, and he's gaslighting people. And that's Fife. So let's take a look at what Fife did. And this is all, there's a lot of these videos out there. They're shit copies, but a lot of them got them for me, and I cleaned them up.
Play a pretty good joke on us, the media. It began with 2 urgent faxes being sent to newsrooms all across the valley. News 15's Jennifer Ryan shows you how the governor turned the spotlight on reporters.
Live, local, late-breaking.
Governor Symington has asked Arizona.
Launching an investigation. And it all has to do with those mysterious lights you're talking about.
Television cameras, reporters, and live trucks move into place to cover a UFO investigation the governor says he's launching about those strange lights seen over Phoenix in March.
We're going to make all the necessary inquiries, and we're going to get to the bottom of it.
That announcement comes at a lunchtime news conference, but hours later,
it's been the talk of the town.
You're watching News 15 at 5.
The answers are elusive. News 15's Bill Spencer has
just
more.
As the evening newscasts begin, the governor drops the bomb.
Officers working undercover raided a home not far from the Capitol. And now I'll ask Officer Stein and his colleagues to escort the accused into the room so that we may all look upon the guilty party.
Hey, this is a great story. The governor had a big laugh at our expense instead of the other way around.
It's a hoax, a turning of the tables, a joke the governor has played on the media.
Now, this just goes to show that you guys are entirely too serious.
It wasn't just the local media that was duped by Symington's joke. Even the international media started running this story about the UFO investigation until they found out our governor was just joking.
DPS says officers received numerous calls from international media, but felt uncomfortable about getting any more involved with the governor's stunt. And about those lights in the Phoenix sky, there are no plans for an investigation.
Well, there was plenty of laughter today at that news conference among the folks with the print, radio, and television stations around the valley. It was a rare opportunity to see the governor's sense of humor, especially now while he goes through this criminal trial facing 22 counts of fraud, perjury, and extortion.
But I guess, Jennifer, today's joke diverted attention away from the governor's trial, you can say?
No doubt about that. I think journalists probably spent a lot more time trying to follow up some of the details on this so-called UFO investigation than following the trial.
We're all interested in those strange lights.
And when the story started getting national attention, Governor Symington decided he'd better get to the bottom of it. Troy Hayden is live in Phoenix to tell us what is going on at the Capitol, Troy.
Well, Terry, Marlene, I think I speak for all the news media when I say we feel just a little bit silly out here today. The governor had a big laugh at our expense instead of the other way around for a change. And it all has to do with those mysterious lights you're talking about. We have some video to go ahead and show you. Thousands of people saw those lights back on March 13th. There they are. Sometimes they were in a straight line. Sometimes they had flames coming off. Well, the encounter even made national press. And today in a press conference, Governor Fife Symington said the Department of Public Safety will find out what's going on, get to the bottom of this. And we took him seriously. Well, guess what? We all got down here, newspaper, television, everybody, and this is what Fife Symington brought out for us. A suspect, he says, in the mysterious case. It was his chief of staff in a big alien outfit, and boy, were we had the governor again having a very good laugh, Terry, Marlene, at our expense out here. But we thought we had a big scoop, you know? And it turns out we didn't. Back to you guys.
No.
You could probably use a laugh about now.
Yeah, I mean, it makes light of everything. You know, he's been going through so much lately. I think maybe just want to have a little fun.
Good.
All right, Troy, thanks so much.
Shows up pens, pads, TV cameras, tape recorders for the radio people, all at the ready, and it turned out to be a joke at the media's expense.
Today article this week sparking national interest in the mid-March sightings of bright lights over Phoenix. The media took very seriously an invitation to a 5 p.m. news conference, at which it was promised Governor Symington would announce an investigation into the phenomena by the state's lone investigative agency, the DPS. When the news conference began, Symington announced a break in the case, an arrest. Here's what happened next.
Don't get him too close to me, please. Now, this just goes to show that you guys are entirely too serious.
The man behind the mask, Symington Chief of Staff, Jay Heiler. I'm guessing it was not an accident that you chose today to pull this little stunt.
No, and this is also the Roswell anniversary. There's been a lot of media coverage about that we were talking about. That's a very serious matter, by the way. We're not trying to trivialize that, and we'd like to have a genuine investigation completed so that the mysteries can be cleared up. But that doesn't mean we couldn't have a good laugh along the way.
But reportedly, some people are not laughing. The 3 TV switchboard has reportedly logged about 60 phone calls from viewers in the first half hour after that news conference. People who say fun is fun, but they're concerned about the use of taxpayer dollars for a practical joke. And a source tells 3 TV that only a few people within the DPS knew that
so
this
that
was
the
a
mysteries
gag.
can be cleared up. But that doesn't mean we couldn't have a good laugh along the way.
But reportedly, some people are not laughing. The 3 TV switchboard has reportedly logged about 60 phone calls from viewers in the first half hour after that news conference. People who say fun is fun, but they're concerned about the use of taxpayer dollars for a practical joke. And a source tells 3 TV that only a few people within the DPS knew that this was a gag, that there were many, many more people who believed that they were actually going to be used by the governor's office for some sort of investigation, that they found out when all of us did on live TV, and that they're more than a little upset by that.
Yeah, we're hearing from the governor's spokesperson, Doug Cole, that this is his annual summer joke. But you know what? I can't remember a summer joke prior to today.
They've done 1 or 2 others, Patty. I recall one where the governor was in the Phoenix Suns gorilla costume, came into a news conference, unmasked himself. I'd be hard-pressed to remember the others.
Okay, thanks a lot. You may remember also Phoenix City Councilwoman Frances Barwood asked for a similar investigation not long ago. We have her on the telephone now. Ms. Barwood, what's your reaction at this point?
Well, I've gotten many phone calls from people that are very upset that this is a joke, and I'm wondering, now with the confusion, is he really going to do an investigation, or was the entire thing a joke?
Well, we just heard from his chief of staff that they have, in fact, asked for an investigation. We'll see if that turns out to be a joke as well. But the investigation you called for never panned out. You got roundly criticized for that as well.
Right, and that was kind of surprising because, all I did was ask for us to look into what so many people saw and to find out if it was military, and shame on them for doing it. 2, if it was a hoax, and how did they do it? And 3, if it was something else, but at the very least, look into it and see what it was.
Do you at all feel like the governor and his office were making fun of you?
I would hope that, he hasn't gone to that level. I get an awful lot of that from the mayor himself, so I doubt that that's his type of sense of humor. I'm hoping what he's done is made his little joke for the summer, and that he will do a serious investigation, because to thousands of people, this is a very serious thing, and they're very, very concerned, that nobody wants.
So that was Fife's alien stunt. That's what he's going to be known for, the rubber mask. As time goes on, if he's going to even be remembered at all, or any of us, everything will get compressed into the most important things that you're known for. I will always be known for the 10 p.m. Phoenix Lights video, no matter what I do or what I say. So he will always be the alien rubber mask man. Now let me tell you something that's weird. During the Phoenix Lights, when that happened, now there was rumors that there was a satellite called Misty 3, which is a surveillance satellite pointing down, which is unacknowledged, was knocked out of orbit. I did some research into that. I think I found the Misty 1 and Misty 2, which were classified payloads that went up. There's not much you're ever going to learn about a classified satellite system. So there was rumors that this thing came from deep space, boomerang, hit a satellite, just like in Independence Day. As they come in, they hit our satellites and then went into orbit. We went to like DEFCON 2 or something, nearly NORAD was, on high alert. They thought this night that there was an invasion happening because there was so many different UFO sightings. The police officer, the Phoenix police, their switchboard, they got calls. The news got a lot of calls. National Reporting Center got a lot of calls. Luke Air Force Base got a lot of calls. They said they didn't, but they did. But what the weird thing is, also, if you look this up, Clinton injured his knee that night. He was staying at the Hotel 6, on vacation. No, he wasn't. He was staying at some rich billionaire's retreat, right? The Secret Service, sometime in the middle of the night, I guess picked him up, said, "We got to go," and moved him, and he hit a coffee table, and that's kind of the word that I heard. And he screwed his knee up. And then you can look this up. You will find, even though Google's screwed up search, it's not hard to find that Clinton injured his knee on March 13th. It was a news story that came around. But Clinton ended up pardoning Fife Symington. Fife Symington had the 7 bank fraud felonies. Then he had extortion stuff. I don't know what happened with that. And a lot of perjury stuff. So he can't be trusted to tell the truth. So if you're kicked out of office as governor, you're going to go back and listen to that guy again? Man, only a sucker's going to believe that shit. I'm sorry, but fool me once, So Clinton pardoned him. That makes no sense. Bill Clinton's a Democrat. He was president. He pardoned him on his last day in office, on January 20th, on the way out the door, Mark Rich and some other people. Why in the hell would he pardon a Republican governor who got removed from office? I mean, that's like touchdown for that political team. You don't go help them. I mean, so I'm sure it was. I don't even remember back then because it's Phoenix Lights. Who the hell was following this? So Clinton pardoned him. Okay, that is like Donald Trump pardoning Newsom if Newsom got 7 felonies and was kicked out of office in California, and the whole Republican Party be going, good, we got the bad guy, and then Trump turned around and pardoned him. So Clinton got drunk and about drowned it. And Fife Symington pulled his ass out of the water and gave him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation and saved his life. That's why Clinton pardoned him, because he owed his life debt to Fife Symington. Did you know that? I bet you most people didn't. So wouldn't that blow people's mind if Newsom somehow went to college with Trump and saved Trump's life, and then that's why Trump pardoned him? So think about this. If Fife wasn't friends with Clinton, or just said whatever and let him drown, or didn't say, or mouth-to-mouth doesn't work a lot of times, right? So I tried to do some stuff with AI with mouth-to-mouth. I canceled that. So he saved his life. But what if he didn't? What if Fife didn't intervene? Then that means Clinton would have died. He wouldn't have been president on this timeline that we're all on. And he wouldn't have been around to pardon Fife. And Fife would have went to prison. So by Fife interdiction decades earlier, he saved his own ass inadvertently that didn't know about it. So imagine if Bill Clinton was never around. Fife saved his ass. So if Bill Clinton wasn't president, I just think of a weird, different reality we'd sort of live in. George Bush the first probably would have won his re-election because he lost to Clinton, and his son probably would have went. Who the hell knows? I mean, Waco wouldn't have happened, and Oklahoma City was because of Waco. Anyway, going off trail, but just think about that. There's a weird circular thing. And if there's so much power in Harvard, it's a matter of time till Mark Zuckerberg went to Harvard, until he decides he's going to buy the White House. So if you're a millennial, you probably lived long enough to see Zuckerberg purchase the damn thing. Yeah, sorry, there's some buzzing in the center video, so I just killed it. Yeah, I'm not too worried about those subscribers. It's fun to have new ones, but we're here for the facts. So anyway, that's the Fife story that he saved Clinton's life, and reach around was he got pardoned later. And yeah, life is strange, man. Life is strange. Let's get to the third Phoenix Light myth. Nobody did FOIAs. Now, if you were to go to the Reddit's UFO subreddit, it's the most horrible place you can go. It's worse than Above Top Secret website. It's been overrun. I got the fucking receipts, man. All right, let's start out with this one. My wife did the FOIA, all right? So when we had the Phoenix Lights group, we had different assignments. When we, within a few weeks, when we figured out the totality that this is a sighting that is on a scale that no one's ever seen, we all, except for minus Village Labs, the rest of us have day jobs, and we're doing this after work. So we assigned her and to FOIA the stuff. So we thought it was going to be an easy assignment. She just got to call Phoenix Tower and ask them for all the radar tapes, all the communications on March 13th. Turns out it's not that easy. Also, we were hoping the news reporters did, right? So some of them did. Jim Schnabel, he called, most of them called the tower and said that the Phoenix Lights, all the events, nothing showed up on radar. So there was no radar tapes to get, if we take their word. And then what are we going to get? We're going to get pieces of paper. They don't actually deliver tapes with radar on it. You get pieces of paper. But then she found out that actually the Phoenix area still is oddly controlled by a TRACON, air traffic control, is controlled by Albuquerque. So Albuquerque keeps the records for all incoming and outgoing aircraft. So by the time she figured that out, then she did the paperwork to FOIA Albuquerque Air Traffic Control. They're the ones that have, anyway, the radar tapes and the communications. We just wanted to see who was talking, because this would have captured Kirk Russell's communication with the tower. So my wife did the FOIA, and then when we got the FOIA back, it said, sorry, but after 3 weeks, we recycled the tapes. So I think she hit them around the 4th week. And we had the paperwork here, and I was going to show that CW television show, but I just couldn't find it. But I do have this other paperwork. Hold on a sec. I got to redo the chat. Something is going wrong with the chat. So I'm going to reload it. Yeah. I think I hit a buffer problem. The storm here is actually causing a few issues with our internet. So anyway, all right, we're back. All right, so she did FOIA that. Another one, right here. It's right in front of you. Right here. Let me show you guys this. All right, so here's another FOIA. This is the Department of Air Force. And this was FOIA'd on August 28th, 1997 to Davis-Monthan Air Force Base by Mr. Bill Hamilton. And that's where he lived, in Greenway. And this is where he said this. I'm going to hold it up for a few seconds. There's a clean copy on my website where I have them scanned in case, let's say, the cat were to spill beer on it. But what he wants here is all the tower logs and communications from Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, right? So we got a response. And some of this I can't read because it's in military jargon. So this is what we got back. So this is the time in military. And these are, see, we didn't actually get tapes. We got text. So there you can, there's one. So there you can go for, there you can myth bust that no one FOIA'd anything. They did. And this is the signature of the flight logs. And these are the pilots from Davis-Monthan Air Force Base that signed off. These are their signatures. So there is a myth busted that no one FOIA'd it. It was FOIA'd by Bill Hamilton and my wife, Rhonda King. So let's go on to the next one. Dr. Lynn was one of the main researchers. That's false. When you see Lynn Katai, I don't know if she's a doctor anymore. I heard sometimes she just goes by Lynn. I don't keep up. Hey, Xavier, how you doing? So anyway, she did do some research, but she wasn't the core of the research because, even though she'll tell you, she was in hiding. She didn't come out really publicly until maybe, I'm thinking 1999 and some of the videotapes I had. So she operated in the shadows, but she wasn't around doing the core research. I'm going to explain that. So one day I was summoned into Village Labs, and it wasn't too long afterwards, and Jim had this big, long, Star Wars-like table, wood table, right? Maybe 15 people around. So here's who was called to this meeting. This is the Phoenix Lights Project. And I'm like, what the hell is the Phoenix Lights? So it's Jim DeLaTessel, Bill Hamilton, Tom King, Richard F. Motzer, Michael Tanner, Tom Taylor. Now who these people are? Jim DeLaTessel's the head of Village Labs. Bill was my research partner. He was Vice VP or whatever, Arizona MUFON. And then Richard Motzer was the head investigator. And then we had Tom Taylor at MUFON. And then Michael Tanner worked in Village Labs, and Tom Taylor was MUFON Arizona State Director. Now, this is a temporary coalition. It almost reads like Borat wrote this. Temporary coalition for the total benefit. Assemble all witnesses and reports, assemble photos and videos, create visual map and ID locations, create computer photo database with location map, create time-based analysis of video, create 3D model vector data map system model balls from each vantage point with a perspective overlay. Rotate around there, and we are all from Phoenix. The world is watching. So Jim, we're sitting around this table, and this was the day the Phoenix Lights was coined. And he said, he was the clearinghouse where all the television places went to. And he said that we need to come up with a name. We need to brand this because we can't just call it Arizona something. So we need to call it the Phoenix Lights and give it a name. And at that time, we didn't know the 10 p.m. stuff could have been flares at all. So it was an assembly of this group. And there was tension in that room. You could cut the shit with a knife because Richard Motzer at that time they used to be buddies. Richard Motzer and Jim DeLaTessel, but not anymore. Jim is happy-go-lucky. He's a very charming guy. Bullshits a lot, but he likes everybody. He's like a cat that everybody lets you pet. Jim's like that. Not Rick. Rick's that cat you can't pet. So Richard Motzer didn't like him, and he didn't like me because I knew Richard Motzer from 2 years earlier where he didn't like me at all. So we were supposed to work together, right? So this isn't good, but it's like putting the Crips and Bloods together and saying we're going to form the Avengers. And it's like, shit, this isn't going to happen. And then Jim was like, Tom, I'm going to fuck him. I go, what do you mean? He goes, I'm going to get all his reports and stab him in the back. I'm like, really? That's what happened. That's what happened. So everybody put the reports on the table, what they had. So I had like 6-7 eyewitnesses reports that contacted me. Bill had about 12. MUFON had a couple of dozen by that time, and Village Labs was growing. So Lynn Katai wasn't around. She wasn't part of this. She basically, when we were done, when this investigation was wrapped up, she took the summation of what our work was and then basically had a guy write a book for her, ghostwrite a book, and same type of people made a video about her. I was asked to be in the video. I declined. I thought, nah, this doesn't look good. None of the other 10 p.m. People wanted anything to do with it. My friend Mike Fortson, who's gone, he asked me if I wanted to be in it. He was in it, and then he regretted being in it. But anyway, he didn't want to be in it either after a while. But it was a clinician video, basically a lot of people from her work. So yeah, she's kept the torch alive, but she wasn't a core researcher. So I'll tell you some of the stuff I know she did. She had ASU back then get together, go to the eyewitness locations, and try and get GPS positioning of where these videos were recorded. And we all have GPS in our phone now, and we take it for granted, but it was a luxury back then. So I remember going back to Steve Blunder's house, and they put a position where I was at, and then they went to the direction I pointed and took one there. And a lot of this was given to Bruce Maccabee. I think ASU did their own. They did their own mapping, and they said that the lights that we seen were behind the Estrella Mountains. It was of importance at the time for them to be in front of the mountains, because that wouldn't be flares. If they were behind the mountain, they're probably flares. And since that didn't show them in front of the mountains, she didn't really promote that. I don't remember reading about that in her book, and I'll see her doing like conferences mentioning ASU puts it back there. So ASU and Bruce Maccabee's triangulation put those lights behind those Estrella Mountains. And another thing that was strange is I saw a television show on the Phoenix Lights, and I saw Dr. Linkatai on the show, and she was saying that this is her photo. And what we're seeing here is like, I don't know, it's like a strip mall or something. And above this is apparently images of the boomerang. And she was saying, I'm the only person with a photo of the boomerang. And I'm thinking, what? You don't have a photo of the boomerang. There are no photos of the boomerang. So this is like in 2007. And I know that picture's fake because the first three lights on that boomerang are tight together, and the other two are in the back. They're not equally spaced. Look at Terry Proctor's video. The three front lights are tight, and the other ones are in the back. That's some Photoshop or something, but she said that was, I guess, hers. And I thought, I don't know what's going on when I watch that show, because when she did go to Village Labs before she came out publicly, she was there, before Village Labs got evicted, and she would have mentioned she had a photograph. You don't just 7 years later say, hey, the 10 p.m. thing got debunked, but instead, behold, I have this photograph. So no matter what, I'm always going to slide to the side and have something. So I don't know. I don't know what she did. According to Richard Motzer, her videotape, which I have maybe 5 seconds of a copy, is time-stamped March 13th twice at 10. I haven't seen it. Nobody has. So I don't know what's going on with that. No one's seen it. She has never given out her video with the original audio so we can hear what's going on. She is the only person out of all the videographers that didn't release the audio of her video. So I automatically red flag that as deception. If you don't release the audio and it's from a home video camera that had a mic on it, you're hiding something. So I don't pay a lot of attention to that. So let's move on. The next thing is the boomerangs were A-10s in formation. I'm not, Ross ain't going to talk to me. I have nothing that he wants. So the boomerangs in A-10 formation. Wow. Okay. Let me tell you about this one. The genesis of this idea, I believe it comes from James McGahee. He's a debunker in Tucson. He's a retired Air Force pilot, and he claims he investigates UFOs. But his I don't even know if he's around anymore. He was kind of old when I saw him back in the 97. But he's one of the things. And then the other guy, God, I'm at a loss for his name, but he looks like Captain Kangaroo. He's on the Wiki Debunker page. But they say, oh, he's the refueling guy. So the A-10 guy is saying that what you're seeing is the Phoenix Lights at 8:30 were a formation of A-10s that flew down the state. and then they launched some flares, and then they landed at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. Where's their fucking signatures, huh? These are the people who took off and then came back from Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. McGahey, where's those A-10 signatures that flew down the state? They're not here. We got the fucking goods. You guys would say this is a credible thing if it could debunk the sighting, but if it supports it, then you ignore it, like Mick West. So the A-10s, you would hear these A-10s. This is also a theory put forward by Mitch Stanley. Mitch Stanley was a 16-year-old kid who had a Dobsonian telescope in Scottsdale that said that these were 7 A-10s in formation. Well, those are goddamn loud. A-10s are freaking loud, man. He's the only one who says this. And no one else are saying they're planes. And then his story changed. First, it was him who looked through the telescope. Next, he had a friend look through it too. And the last time I read it, there were 2 friends at his house. So the more I read about Mitch Stanley's stories, the more friends that were at that party, I guess. No sound was made. Nobody. There's a video. You can hear it. It's on my channel. It's Terry Proctor's video with the original audio. You can't hear any A-10s flying over. The Doppler effect would have kicked in. So these are not A-10s. That's an insult to the intelligence of everybody who saw the 8:30 event, as you're telling them what they saw. So that's one of them, that it was just a formation of A-10s. All right, another one is that this was a refueling operation. Okay, this is from the Captain Kangaroo guy, and another guy who won't even put his name out, another debunker. And they're claiming that they saw basically these stunt planes. It was a refueling operation for, I think, the Blue Angels or something like that. It was a Canadian Blue Angels operation that was coming in. Well, where did they land? You know, no. So it wasn't a refueling operation. That's pretty much, I guess, another of the same debunk. And this one is funny. It was a hologram. The Phoenix lights were a hologram. Okay, couple sources for this myth. One of them is Ed Dames. Ed Dames told Art Bell that the 8:30 event was a hologram that was broadcast on the top of somebody's roof from Scottsdale. And another show from UPN, I think that's on my channel, Danger in the Skies. There was a couple from the Tucson area that claimed, I think Fort Huachuca, this military base south here. They have technology that can do a hologram all over the state. All right. Well, this is ridiculous because we have yet to see these holograms in action 28 years later. I have a friend, I don't know if he's watching, he thinks everything's military and everything's a hologram. Maybe. I mean, I don't think so. I think A-10s in formation would be a more likely explanation than holograms. That's really kind of stretching it. Yeah, well, Richard, I think I've settled for the boomerang was about 700 feet arm by arm, which is still big. But the thing that came behind it, the triangle, according to Max Harrison and his wife, was 2 miles long. That was a bigger one. It's hard to say, but if the reason for 700 foot is if it flew between these mountain peaks where Tim Lee lived, then you can measure it on Google Maps. It has to be within a certain distance to fit within that mountain peak. But 700 is still pretty big. So hologram there. The boomerang was a stealth blimp. It was the Avenger. All right. This is an interesting one. Stealth blimp. Okay, so we got to, rule everything out. You have to rule out the normal stuff before you're left with UFO. That's just the way it works. So let's go look here at the blimp stuff. So let's take a look at this. So was the Phoenix Lights an Aerosmith V? Interesting theory. So let's look at it. This website, The Drive, did a deep dive in there. And there's the CEO, this goofy looking guy. Right? So this article here from TWZ goes into the weeds of these big airships. And this is this is a 175 foot. This is big. So imagine a 700 foot length or a mile. So he goes into here and he claims these things can go into orbit, but I think he's pitching bullshit. He's like Elon Musk saying, yeah, we'll be on Mars next year. He's been saying that for 10 years, promising all that. So yeah, he overpromised. So now he was working at submarines. So here's an artist's conception. But, the lights on the boomerang, they're on the outside. And it was a blimp. And this is one of their best tests there. And they put it up in the wind. There's no propulsion system. You can see the payloads in the center, which is going to have your GPS stuff to track and reacquire it. They probably have an inflatable system that can inflate the balloon and deflate it to bring it up and down. But they do not have any type of propulsion system or thrust. So the whole thing is dependent upon the wind. So there's no way this flew down on the wind. This object, this boomerang, was under intelligent control. It went from Paulden to Prescott in 1 minute. It was reported by the National UFO Reporting Center. So it was going over Paulden, according to these eyewitnesses, about 35 miles an hour. It was gliding over a shopping center, the size of a shopping center. And then when it got to the edge of Paulden, it shot towards Prescott, got there in a minute, did 1,600 miles an hour, and then it slowed back down to 35 miles an hour. And then when it took off towards Phoenix, then the configuration changed and banked, and it shot towards Phoenix. And then when it got towards the Glendale area, up north, it slowed down, kind of did a diamond shape. That's when Tim Lee and Hal Lee acquired visual sight of the object. So in order to do 1,600 miles an hour, it wasn't a blimp, and you can't control a blimp. It's a good, interesting idea, but it doesn't fit everything to explain it. So it wasn't a blimp. So that's another one. It was a holographic blimp. I even thought of that one. A hologram blimp. It was from the future. Yeah, well, that one guy, he's a goofy. Yeah, looks like a goofy looking CEO right there. Yeah, that's cool. Hey, better late than never, right? So it wasn't a stealth blimp. It wasn't a hologram. It wasn't A-10s in formation. It wasn't the Blue Angels. It wasn't refueling operation by the Canadian Blue Angels. We don't know what it was. The best evidence we have is some of the Russian footage. All right, let's go to this other one. Is a fun one. Oh wait, I gotta stop on this one. Hold on. We gotta go back. We gotta go back a little bit more. That's more on the stealth blimp. All right, so we have this orbital, the Ascender. Now, what's interesting is I've been every time this is brought up on Reddit, this same guy jumps in and posts, I think it was the Ascender. The same fucking guy, every post. You can look up his post history. I swear to God, that's probably the CEO of this company, pump and dumping, thinking, because this thing is just a big blimp, and it's not operational. It doesn't work. I actually went to their website, and it had malware on there for 3 years, on their domain. And if you can't remove malware from your domain, what the hell? All right, so next up, I want to bring up, this also goes into the A10 hypothesis. So I'm going to put this out there. This is hard to find. I'm going to put this out next week when I do my Phoenix Lights broadcast. I'll put this out as a link you can try. None of them do. So their investigation of our investigation is the following. So they went and basically extracted everything they could, and they did a pretty good basically fusion of data by taking everything from the National Reporting Center. And the National UFO Reporting Center has more data now. Back then they didn't have too many reports. So they took everybody that they could find and they kind of mapped them into this file. I'm going to go through it a little bit here. And what they saw, where they were, and then they put footnotes of where they got everything. And then they made these charts. It's funny, look at all the trouble this. This is a lot of work, you know. If this is legit, I haven't actually went through it to audit the damn thing, to see, you know, to debunk it and see if this is just freaking made up or what. But it looks like they're at least trying, and this is mainly on the 8:30 event. So that's pretty comprehensive. So look at all of this stuff. So then we get to this map here. And they're looking at this, where everybody was. They pinned them. So this is, I mean, somebody spent hundreds of hours. So this is basically the flight corridor of the boomerang. So if you're outside the blue, you were outside of visual range of it. Where did they get this? From us. Everything pretty much they got from Village Labs, or myself, Bill Hamilton, MUFON, or Francis Emmett Barwood. And I don't think Francis basically sat here and did any of this stuff. She collected phone calls and stuff, but then she transferred all this over to Village Labs, and I think she got rid of MUFON after a while. Everybody eventually dumped them. So at the end of it, at the very end of it, they get into the A10s here. And it's kind of interesting to read. So these guys do what a lot of them do. They said this is a very unpopular opinion. Everybody we talked to didn't hear a sound. Nobody heard a sound other than like electrical hum. No engine sounds. And the wide array of all those witnesses in these reports is astounding to read. That's a book right there, right? That should be the book. But at the end, they basically said, you know what? Even though 99% of the people saw something out of the ordinary, fuck it. We're going with the kid. We're going with the kid in the telescope. And because he saw it through a telescope. Well, wait a minute. I had a telescope. We saw those orange lights through the telescope. We didn't see smoke. We didn't see parachutes. We didn't see flares. So if a telescope is good enough to say something is legit or not, what about ours? How come our telescope didn't count? And then if you get into the other reports, skeptics cherry pick and they say, you know what? Eyewitnesses reports don't count. Eyewitness testimony, you got to have video. They always, move the goalpost. Well, then you could say, well, what about Mitch Stanley? Then his eyewitness doesn't count. His testimony. You can't just throw 9,000 people's eyewitness testimony out and say we're going with the one because you have a predetermined position to debunk. You have a psychological prison on your brain that keeps you from unlocking and thinking outside of that. This reminds me of like that Richard Ramirez case when they were saying, hey, there's this guy on the loose. What's he look like? And everybody said he's this creepy, greasy guy with bad teeth and 6 foot tall, black hair. But one person said, I saw a midget. I'm talking little people, midget. He said, I saw a midget as a description of the killer. So if you're a police detective, are you going to go look around for a midget? Or are you going to look around for a 6 foot tall, greasy motherfucker? The debunkers are going to go around looking for the midget. But it'd be horrible. All these debunkers would be horrible cops. Horrible. So yeah, that's what they said. They're going with the kid. Interesting read there. And let's go with one of the last myths here. That the men in black broke into Village Labs and stole everything. So Village Labs was a building over off of Priest and University Drive in Tempe. It's it's funny. I heard Jim actually still in the building. I don't know. I drove by there a long time ago. Eventually, he got kicked out. He got evicted because the debunkers went after his livelihood and they took it away from him. It's a pretty bad thing to do to anybody. But anyway, that they broke into Village Labs. A friend of mine, Patrick, asked Jim about it, and Jim doesn't remember. And I'm kind of ad-libbing here. But Frances Emma Barwood, I'm told, has said that there was some men in black or something that broke into Village Labs and took everything. Let me explain what they took. So the primary investigator for the whole case that never gets any credit for this is Dr. Michael Tanner. Dr. Michael Tanner was the guy who, Jim did all the analysis, but Tanner arranged everything. He went out and talked to everybody. He's a very nice guy. It's too bad he's no longer with us. He went in his Cadillac, I think he has a Cadillac, nice car, and he drove up to Prescott to talk to people. Then he'd drive up to Paulding, and then he'd drive up wherever. So this guy went out and did all the field research. Him and Frances Emma Barwood, they're the two that should be credited for the core of all the research that was done. And they had talked between, when I heard 550 to 700 people, many of them face-to-face or over the phone reports. So this was the case file. And they had a Xerox printer in Michael's office. So he had this thick yellow vanilla envelope folder, and that had everything. It had all the drawings, it had all the people's phone numbers, everyone to contact. So like when a television show came into town, they had zero. They were dead in the water. There was no way for them to perform any show unless they contacted Village Labs and say, we need the names of the videographers who has the video. We need the names of Tim Lee or witnesses. They had no way of getting a hold of anybody. So they had to go through Village Labs, and it went through this folder. This folder was the Bible. It had everything. I wish I had it today. I would scan it and publish it on the internet for free. Unlike the other people will sell everything, but I would say this needs to be in the hands of the public and entered into the public record. So they're saying that got busted into by MIB. Now, on my channel, I posted the MIB video that took Richard Curtis's 8:30 video. That actually happened. Again, Michael Tanner went over to Richard Curtis's house, and he had professional equipment all over. So he wasn't just the guy making up a story. He had equipment on par with some of the stuff that Village Labs had for video recording. So he was a professional witness. I think the FBI took that stuff. The FBI was tapping every lead person's phone. So if something happened and a smoking gun tape came our direction, the FBI would know it before we even got our hands on it. So did they steal it from Village Labs? I don't know. I never heard anything about that case file going missing. So it would have had to happen before Village Labs was evicted from that place, from that building. Jim said that building was locked up like Fort Knox. Well, not true. I went down there. I know Jim lived in, many people don't know, Jim lived in that building. In the center of the building, he made a living quarters out of a commercial office and lived there. He did not have a home. So every time you went to visit, Jim was always there. And I don't think he had a driver's license. I think it was suspended for some reason. So Jim actually lived in that building. And in the morning, the doors were always unlocked. So you could walk in. There was no person hired to greet you. There was no bell that went off, nothing. There was a little koi type pond there that you walked around. And over to the left was Michael Tanner's office. And you would have to walk in and go, hey, Michael, what's up? hey, Tom, sit down, how you doing? And then we would chit-chat and shit. That's how it worked. And sometimes there were loads of people coming and going. So you could literally rob that place blind and steal computers and walk right out the damn door and no one would know it. Then nobody did, because people in Phoenix are cool. We don't rip each other off. There were no supercomputers down there. Jim will say otherwise and take it to his grave. There was not a fucking supercomputer in that building, because I looked. Man, I looked. He had like Windows 95. And I looked at the stuff, and he had 386s. Like, he had 386s and Intel 46s. So there was no MIB that robbed him blind. So that's pretty much what I got for the myths. Oh, one last one that I had in the comments. There was a Flash website out in 1998 that said they had the smoking gun. And it was a very, very well-designed Flash website. And they said that they did this J.J. Abrams stuff before J.J. did it. We have this box. And in this mystery box is exactly what happened on the Phoenix Lights. And apparently there were these videotapes, and they were given to this priest, the most trusted person out there to tell you the truth. Okay. So this priest happens to be goddamn real good in Flash. We're talking, this was cutting edge at the time, better than I could do. So I did a who is. I looked up that website. And he did not protect the domain with privacy protection. So I looked him up, and the guy lived over in Tempe. Has phone number there too. Hey, Tony, good to see you. So I called this guy, and I called the owner of the website just to see what would happen. And a Muslim guy answers. And I got him. I nailed him. I found the owner of the website. He doesn't speak very good English, and everything is broken, and he is fucking pissed. And I understand, because if somebody goes and knocks on my door, and this is eventually going to happen, and says, hey, I watch you on 4K Skywatching, want a bag of Cool Ranch Doritos, I'm going to flip the fuck out. He's not getting in, right? That's time. I've got a weirdo, right? But I didn't knock on his door. I just called him. So, but that's not good either. So I called him, and he's pissed. And I said, dude, what's in the box? And he will not tell me. Why? Because there is no box. It's a scam. It's another goddamn scam. And the funniest thing I heard was him trying to tell me off. He goes, Mr. King, do you know what? How about eat a shit? Eat a shit, Mr. King. And I'm like, really? Eat a shit? That's funny. He goes, and if you don't like it, I will give you a try fuck you. Try fuck you, Mr. King. And I said, okay, I'll try it. Try fuck you. And it was hilarious. He was trying to do, like, I think he got everything he knew from English by watching Sam Kinison and Andrew Dice Clay stand-up comedians. That's probably how he learned his English. So and if you don't like that, I will bring out another eat shit. And I thought, wow, you're really telling me off. So yeah, he came out with, try all these F words and all these, everything. And yeah, busted him too. There's a lot of scams around it. So that's it. That's the myths busted. So we're going to do a quick rundown again. The 10 p.m. videos were not a diversion. They were going to happen whether the boomerang came into town or not. The Maryland National Guard was going to set off those flares. The next one is Fife Symington did not see the boomerang because it wasn't advertised on television until the following day. The next one, we don't know what Lincoln High did with it. She did do something, so hey, anybody who helps, good. Another one is it wasn't a hologram. It wasn't a formation of A-10s. It wasn't the Blue Angels. And it wasn't a stealth blimp. So that's what I get a lot of the times when I'm looking at stuff or I'm reading things online. People get it wrong. And I'm just here to correct the record because I lived through it. I was there. But if you read it online, which you will, on other websites, and they say, that was a bunch of A-10s, you can point them over here. You point them at this podcast, and you point them to the exact sound time and whatever. when I debunked or it basically explained why it wasn't that. So I'm going to wrap up. Figured I knew this couldn't go an hour. Before I wrap up, let's see what the hell is going on with the live cams. So we still got the Droid powered up. We still have the NVR. The south camera does not come on. This camera below the entire sky got knocked out by the rain. Sometimes they reconnect. If it's not a heavy downpour, they will reconnect, but you probably should check your wiring because, yeah, so. The radar project, let me give you a little update on that. Online Metals shipped me a bar instead of a sheet of aluminum, and I complained. They told me to pound dirt. They said I needed to buy a sheet of aluminum, size of a laptop, for my mast, and it cost $100 for that one. I found the exact same, plus $30 to ship. I found the same one on Amazon Prime. I got it the next day, and if it didn't work, I can return it. So I'm no longer using Online Metals. I started out with them when I started building my buddy here, this Droid, because they're the only people who have some of the, I mean, anyway. But now, Amazon. Amazon seems to have most of the shit I have. So, anyway, let's wrap up. That camera is still online. Let's check with the thermal. See if the thermals, these thermals are tanks. I waterproofed them pretty well. They have went through a few downpours here. And let's see what's live on thermal. So if you just tuned in, I have 2 NVRs with 4K cameras on all of them. So we're looking at, there's 3 thermal cameras here, and they're dual optics. So they see in color and they see in thermal. Let me switch over to the live frame. So there's hot black on thermal 1, white hot on thermal 2, and hot black on thermal 3. And above them are their color versions. And then I have a 45 power zoom 2K dome camera that's sitting just above them. So if these things see something in thermal, I'm going to zoom in color and see if it only shows up in thermal or if it's invisible, just exactly what the hell is going on. These 3 thermals, they call them the thermal fork, are hooked up to one of these old school Pelco pan and tilt systems. So if something flies by, I can pan with the thermal and try to get a temperature reading of it and find out, is the UFO hot? Is it cold? What's going on? Ooh, there goes the plane right there. So there's a live example. So I use this. I use the Cosmic Watch to 3 of them, in fact, and a GMC nuclear Geiger counter. So we're still rolling with that. So this Droid has a new battery. I just picked up a brand new car battery in it. So one of these days I'll get into kind of how I'm working with this guy. But that was it. I will be back on March 13th. It'll be a Thursday. This is going to be a 6 p.m. Skywatch. This is mainly going to be a Skywatch. I am going to play some videos. I'm going to play all the 10 p.m. videos. Most people haven't seen them. They've seen mine. They've probably seen Christians on TV. I'm going to play the other ones. So you can take a look at them. Oh, also, I don't think I'm going to get a copyright strike for this, but there's a video I'm going to play. I tried to get a hold of this woman. She doesn't respond to YouTube. She has a video that looks just like what I shot on 10 p.m., except it's 12 minutes long, and it flies at you, and they start blinking at the end, and they fly over a town, and it's mesmerizing. And when you look at that, you'll think, you know what? maybe those 10 p.m. videos were not flares. I had to do a double take after I saw that video. Go, Jesus Christ, man. Maybe there was something like this duping us, because these things like to do tricky stuff. Oh, and the other thing I think is a myth is the hitchhiker effect. I've talked about it. I took it as another myth, as a factual thing. It started from Skinwalker Ranch. Matt Ford's now saying it happened to him. I don't believe it. There's no empirical evidence for it. There is not even a hypothesis for it. Skinwalker Ranch is basically something that started and got out of control. Like shit happens. Shit happens. There was no internet, but somebody started saying shit happens, and it went nationwide, and eventually got on a t-shirt, and eventually it got in a Forrest Gump movie. Nobody knows where that started. But the hitchhiker effect, I believe, came from the book The Hunt for Skinwalker Ranch. And one of the persons had something happen, and they had the heebie-jeebies, and they went home, and it kept happening. I don't believe this is something following you home. I think you just kind of, you see now. You are now can see this phenomenon. It has now entered your life. It's not a hitchhiker effect. It's just you had your life before UFOs happened or something, and now you have your life afterwards. Maybe it's not an effect. Maybe it's a technique or more of a maneuver or a happening. But I don't believe it's the hitchhiker effect. It's something that gets out of control in ufology. We're seeing it unfold in front of us now with psionics. Psionics is now becoming the new vocabulary word of 2025. That there's people claiming that they have psionic abilities. No one's calling bullshit. No one's saying bring down the egg or anything. We're told, trust me, bro. I'm like, where's the science? Let's do traditional science. Let's get a hypothesis of how this happens. Let's get a theory of it. Let's test it, and let's have others do it and repeat it and try. Maybe the Skinwalker or the hitchhiker effect, there's no way to do that. Maybe with the psionic thing, but I don't know. We got to be careful not to just make up bullshit and then accept it as fact. We have to stay grounded. We have to make sure we don't keep our heads in the clouds and do too much. So I'm right now, I'm pulling back on hitchhiker effect. I'm calling it, that's a myth. It's a phrase, but it's not science. It's probably not a real thing. Maybe, we have an active skywatching area we're putting under surveillance in Scottsdale. Soon we should have a live camera up for you to see. But if you go over there, you'll see things. It's not the hitchhiker effect. You are in an active hotspot. That's my theory on it. And I've been doing this now for 30 long years, and I'm on fire. I'm fucking back. I have a lot of energy, and I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to keep pumping forward ahead. So if you guys want to join me with this adventure and watch the trials and tribulations, like, subscribe, complain, I don't give a shit. I'm just glad you're checking it out. So I'm going to wrap up. That was another Cosmic Watch hit. Tony D here. Andy, thanks for coming for the entire goddamn show. I would love to have you on. Instead of this droid, let's get Andy on here. Andy is been around the UFO block. He doesn't say, hey, try fuck you. Hey, I'll bring out and eat shit. This guy knows his stuff. He's proper English. And Tony D. And I'm going to look into that Twitch idea, Mr. Merlin. Thank you for that super chat. Connected I'm not sure what that means by that. My thoughts are prove it. Prove your psionic ability. He's trying. He is trying. That's what they say about R2. He fucks up, but he's trying. Thank God he came out. I bet you there's a bunch more people like Jake coming out. Jake came out with a net of people who vouch for him and say, yep, if that guy says it, you take it to the bank. So he's got vets that vouch for him. So I'm listening. I would love to hang out with the Skywatch if he'd invite me, but apparently that's for billionaires and shit like that. And that's not me. If I had $1 billion, I'd spend $2 billion on Skywatching. Frequencies. Oh yeah, there's another guy I want to get on here. He won't come on the show, but he talked about scanning the entire RF spectrum with AI. I want to know how to do that. That is not my forte, but I don't know how to do it. I want to learn. He doesn't want to come on the show. That's fine. Maybe he could come on as an avatar. If not, send me some links, bro. I want to know how to do this and teach everyone else how to do this, how we can scan, use AI for positive things and productive things in the ufological field. What can we scan automatically? Can we, it was an idea Rob Heatherly had to scan the internet and find out, I'm not going to keep that secret, but to use Python and AI to scan the internet to find patterns. Let's say that. So let's look into that. I'll look into Twitch and experiment, because next Thursday, Do or Die, I'm broadcasting. I got waterproof cameras, man. Most of them are. Most of them are waterproof. I'm going to have the thermo up and running. I'm going to have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to have 10 or 12 cameras running. Radar is a month out, just so you know, because I got to pour this cement. Close to the cement, I now have humped home from Home Depot 50 bags of Quikrete. Need another 17 or so. And I got some stuff showing up to clamp the thing. I actually, on the other side of this wall you're looking at, I have to rip the wall wood off because the mast is going on the other side of this camera. It's literally going to be 18 inches on the other side of this web camera. And if I don't mount it right and it falls, it'll rip the side of the house and take all this shit with it. But it won't, because I'm going to over-engineer it, and I'm going to use Dan Starsky to give me the seal of approval. So we'll catch you guys next time on Thursday, 6 o'clock. There won't be a Friday show. It's going to be a Thursday show. It's going to be the Phoenix Lights Live. I'm going to show some interesting videos. I'm going to show you that 1:10 p.m. video. This has been a fun broadcast. We'll see you guys Thursday. Thanks for watching. I'm Tom King. This is the 4K Skywatching podcast. Phoenix Myths Busted. I'm out.